Hey everyone, today's video is going to be a gentle intro to variables with focus on setting up light and dark color modes. And I'll be using the tooltips file from one of my prior tutorials for this demo. So what we currently have here is a component set for a tooltip, and it has some light variants and some dark mode variants. We also have some color styles here, which we'll now be converting into variables. Of course, if you have lots of color styles, you can use a plugin to help you automate this process, but I do think it's worth it to learn how to create the variables and do it at least once. To create a new variable, you're going to go to the local variables section on the right, and you can click this icon. By default, you just have no variables, but you have a collection created and you can rename it to whatever you want, let's say default. And to create a variable, you're going to click Create Variable button and then select Color. Right away, we can set up our modes for light and dark. So let's say our second column, our first one is going to be the light mode, and then our second one is going to be dark. Our first color variable can be like background, and for the light mode, it's just white, and for the dark one, it's like a dark gray color. Then our second one is going to be for heading, which is going to be like light gray for dark mode and dark gray for the light mode. And our last one is going to be paragraph, which is also almost black for the light mode and white for the dark mode. One thing you can do to keep your variables organized is create groups. So for example, for the heading and paragraph here, we can create one text group. So what you can do is write something like text slash, and you'll get this group here. So there is some like weird behavior where it doesn't always remove that text slash. So you just need to make sure that it doesn't stay here. But then we'll do the same things for the paragraph. And now you have a group for the text. You could also create a new group by just opening up the context menu and do the new group with selection. And you can rename it from here. And I don't know, we could do something like default. So you can imagine that as you get more and more variables, this grouping feature becomes very useful. Now that we have our variables, we can start applying them to our tooltip. So I'm going to close the window. And actually, the first thing I'm going to do is just delete all the dark mode variants because we don't need them anymore. Another thing I can do is apply auto layout to the component set, which is something that we couldn't really do before for larger component sets because there was no wrapping. So you got either like one straight horizontal line or one straight vertical line, and it didn't look very neat. And now to apply the variables, I'm going to select the tooltip and go down to the selection colors. And now to tell the difference between the styles and the variables. So the styles will have the circle and the variables will have the square. And now I can just start swapping out the styles for variables. The other way to tell the difference between the styles and the variables is that the variables will have this code style to them. Now that I have my variables applied, I can quickly preview this in the dark mode. And to do that, I go to the layer section, click on this icon here, and I can switch to dark mode. And I can also do that, obviously, just for an instance of the component. So by default, it's in light mode, but I can change it to dark. Now that we have also converted our styles into variables, we can go ahead and get rid of our styles so that we don't need to maintain them. So to review, the main benefit of using color variables over color styles is that it's first much easier to preview your components and designs in light versus dark mode, and you have 50% less variance to maintain for each component. Of course, there are other benefits to variables, which we'll dive more in the future videos. But meanwhile, if you have any questions or if there are any specific topics that you'd like to focus on, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.